First of all, you got to question, were all of the characters in the movie real players? You got Gary Bertier, Sunshine, Ronnie Bass. You got Julius, Coach Boone, Coach Yoast. So we're going to break down the real story of Remember the Titans, and we're going to compare the movie with the real story. Years ago, ESPN interviewed the actual Coach Boone, the actual Coach Yoast, and the actual players from the 1971 TC Titans, which we know as Remember the Titans, the movie. In real life, did Coach Boone integrate the buses before leaving football camp? Yes, this really happened. Coach Boone says, I forced them on each other. I forced them to learn each other's culture. I forced them to be a part of each other's lives. One of the villains of the team, Ray, Ray's the white guy that Gary Bertier basically calls off the team because he's a little racist and he doesn't want to block for their black quarterback. He doesn't want to block for Rev. He's a very pivotal character in this movie. But in reality, Ray Buds is a fictional character. He did not actually exist. And all of the players said that if they even had any type of player that was like that kind of guy, he would have been kicked off in training camp days. He would have never made the team. Did Coach Boone really wake the team up at 3 a.m. and make them run to the Gettysburg Cemetery? An iconic scene. He gives this speech about all the men that died and they come together. But in reality, no, this did not happen. Did Gary Bertier and Julius Campbell actually become best friends in real life? Strong side.
Strong side!
Left side!
Strong side!
Left side!
Strong side!
Left side! Left side! But in reality, they discovered that they were friends, but the relationship was not as pivotal as it seemed in the movie. They were friends just like every other player was friends on that team. Was Gary Bertier's girlfriend Emma based on a real person? Answer is no. Not saying that Gary didn't have a girlfriend, shout out to Gary Bertier, but the character Emma, the blonde girlfriend that was with him, she did not exist. Did Ronnie Sunshine Bass really kiss Gary Bertier in the locker room? Famous, iconic scene, starts a huge fight in the locker room, but the answer is no. Ronnie Bass definitely was an actual person that played quarterback for the team, but he was not the sunshine with long hair because most people on the team had long hair. But in reality, Ronnie Bass says, I was never quite like that. But that's Hollywood. He said, I will say for the record, my hair was never that long. And also for the record, I never did Tai Chi outside of the school. So although these scenes are so iconic in the movie and I love every single one of them, it's important to know the reality. Only the real. Let's keep it going. Did protesters actually stand outside of T.C. Williams? Big part of this whole movie is the racial tension between blacks and whites. There's an iconic scene where Coach Boone says, all the other schools in this conference, they're all white. They don't have to worry about race. We do. But in reality, every school that the TC Titans played in the 71 season was integrated. So they were not the only team with both black and white players. Every team they played against that season had black and white players. And some things like this we just have to put in a movie, but it's good to actually know. A few scenes, where the referees are cheating a little bit and Coach Yoast tells them, you call this game fair or I'm going to the papers.
You call this game fair or I'll go to the papers. I don't care if I go down with you. Where I'll see every last one of you thrown in jail.
You dig your own grave.
No, I don't want them to gain another yard.
You blitz all night! And if they cross the line of scrimmage, I'm gonna take every last one of you out. You make sure they remember forever the night they played the Titans.
It actually probably didn't happen. Dang! No issue, though. Still a great movie, still amazing, but we got to know the facts. Is the part about Coach Yoast not making the Virginia High School Hall of Fame accurate? Obviously, at the end, they hold up the ball. You're a Hall of Famer in my book.
You're a Hall of Fame in my book.
But in all actuality, the answer is no. In 1971, there was no High School Hall of Fame, so he couldn't have been not inducted because there wasn't anything to be inducted into, unfortunately. Was Coach Yoast's daughter, Cheryl, really a football fanatic like she is depicted in the movie? But in all actuality, Coach Yoast did have a daughter named Cheryl, but she was not as deeply intense about football as the film depicts. Did Coach Yoast's daughter, Cheryl, really go over to Coach Boones' house to play with his daughter? Iconic scene where the daughters go and they play. You see the difference of cultures. You see the difference of what they're into, what they're doing. But in reality, Coach Boones says, no, Cheryl never visited my home, but I do wish that she had spent some time with my children, but unfortunately that did not happen. Did someone actually throw a brick through Coach Herman Boone's window? And again, no. But this time it's actually worse. They threw a toilet seat through his window. He says, actually, it was something far more devastating to any human being that a brick could be. I guess Disney, being the family movie production company that they are, felt that to depict a toilet stool coming through your window was just a bit much. So in reality, these fucked up people threw a toilet seat through Coach Boone's window. In the movie, we see a brick. Both are terrible. And Coach Boones says, I've never really gotten over that incident that particular night because I could never understand how anybody could feel so bad about another human being as to throw a toilet commode through a window. After his house was vandalized, did Coach Boones step out of there with that gun, ready to do what he had to do? In actuality, the answer is no. The real Herman Boone did not own a gun, but I bet he was ready to whoop ass between whoever threw that goddamn toilet seat, and that's a fact. Did the TC Titans ever perform the iconic warm-up dance?
Everywhere we go, people want to know, who we are, so we tell them, we are the Titans, mighty Titans.
In all actuality, no. The TC Titans never performed any choreography, never performed any dances to warm up. Never did a song and dance routine to warm up, so as iconic as those scenes are, they just didn't happen. Were the TC Titans often the underdog in each game that they played, as depicted in the movie? You know, we have some comeback wins. We've got last play, last second victories, like your life depended on it.
Got that fake 23 blast with a backside George reverse like your life depended upon it. Let's go.
Comebacks, epic comebacks on the undefeated season. But in all actuality, no. No game was even close, to be honest. At the end of the 1971 season, including the playoffs, the T.C. Williams Titans finished 13-0, and they finished second in the nation. They dominated almost every single game that they played, shutting out their opponents in 9 of the 13 games, meaning they scored 0, and outscored all of their opponents in a margin of 338-38. The championship game was a blowout as well, unlike what we see on the film. The 3 games in the playoffs, TC Titans win 28-0, 36-14, and in the championship game, they win 27-0. Obviously, we wouldn't have a super memorable movie about a bunch of blowout wins on a road to 13-0 victory because they were that damn good. Was Gerry Bertier actually paralyzed in a car accident before the championship game? In real life, Gerry Bertier unfortunately was paralyzed in a car accident, but it happened actually after the season ended. So Gerry did get to have that victory. He was not in the hospital bed going, woo, get out of here now. Iconic scenes, throwing the shit at the nurse, okay, celebrating his victory from his hospital bed. He was actually on the field and he was a part of the victory. Unfortunately for Gerry, he did get paralyzed in a car accident, but it's important to know it was after the season. And on December 11th, 1971, Gerry was coming home from the T.C. Williams High School football banquet, where he had been honored with the Most Valuable Defensive Player Award. After stopping at a local fast food restaurant and dropping off some friends, Gerry continued home in his mother's new Camaro. Only 6 blocks away from his house, the car went out of control, striking both with a fire hydrant and a flashing school sign. It was later determined that the accident had been caused by a mechanical failure in the motor mount of the Camaro's engine. Unfortunately, Gerry actually is in a hospital after the season, paralyzed with his legs. So the question is, was there actually a moment where Julius came to visit Gerry and Gerry told the nurse, "Don't you see the family resemblance? That's my brother."
Don't you see the family resemblance? That's my brother.
But in all actuality, many of the players actually went down to visit Gerry Bertier while he was in the hospital, and they all claimed that they were immediate family of Gerry. So it wasn't just Julius. Many of the players went down to visit Gerry as his brother. How good of a football player was Gerry Bertier? As a nationally ranked defensive player, Gerry Bertier was Alexandria's first high school All-American football player. Following the 71 season, he receives accolades which included first team All-Region, All-States, and All-American, as well as being named the football club's Football Player of the Year. He had been approached by elite football powerhouses such as Notre Dame and Alabama. And some feel that the movie actually failed to depict just how good Gerry Bertier actually was. Unfortunately, the last scene of the movie is 10 years later. The team gathers at the funeral of Gerry Bertier.
Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Hey, hey, hey. Goodbye.
It says that on his way home from a business trip, March 20th, 1981, Gerry Bertier's 1980 Oldsmobile was struck by a drunk driver who crossed over the center line. Bertier was pronounced dead 2 hours later at the University of Virginia Hospital. And just like the film, many of the 1971 players and coaches attended Gerry's funeral. At the time of his death, Gerry had been working as a sales manager for Abbey Medical, a company who manufactured walking braces for the handicapped. And I think it was super cool to note that while he was still alive and he was paralyzed, he was still really close with Coach Yoast. And Coach Yoast actually coached him to win a gold medal in shot put at the Wheelchair Olympics. So rest in peace. Shout out to Gerry Bertier. Shout out to all the players of the TC Titans. Shout out to all the actors of the movie Remember the Titans. And shout out to you for paying attention and watching along. I hope this was cool for you guys. As always, I think it's really cool to know the reality. I hope this doesn't hurt anyone's feelings. Don't take anything away from the movie. I still love the movie. It's still a 10 out of 10. But it's important to know the reality of the real story because that's based on actual people that really played actual games and really lived an actual life. So I just think it's important to kind of shine some light on that.